you're a man, please continue scrolling because you're not going to understand that. If you're a woman, can we all take a minute and empathize with each other on how hard it is to be a woman? I don't just mean the hormones and bearing children, which I find those things to be a miracle and a blessing. I'm talking about the things that we do and have to think about on a daily basis just to get through life that men can't even comprehend. I was at CVS this morning getting tampons, and it's broad daylight, obviously. I leave CVS, I start walking to my car, and I'm at a CVS that isn't in the best area in San Diego. The minute I leave CVS, I'm on high alert, and I notice that there's a guy that is also walking closer than I would like. I immediately grab my keys, which have pepper spray on them, walk at a really fast pace to my car, jump in and lock the doors the minute I get in the car, and then I stop and realize, like, men don't even think about this. Another example is running. I love to run outside, be outdoors. I love exploring new trails, but you will not catch me running a trail by myself.
And
you know, I find it rather funny how modern women will just blindly assume that men don't feel the need to have situational awareness, as if somehow the code of brotherhood is so strong that when a criminal scumbag sees another dude who'd be an easy target for a mugging, he'll pass it up just because he's a fellow dude. But that's not how it works, sweetheart. Men need to keep their heads on a swivel all the frickin' time, especially nowadays since we got men who are ready to attack us for our possessions, as well as modern women who are just itching for us to look at her for 2 seconds so they can put us on blast on social media to try to ruin our lives. Hell, it's even come to the point where if a man says anything that you don't like, it's also grounds for assault. So if anything, we have to do everything we can to not have our lives ruined. Now, you are told that women have it worse. You hear endless stories about how men are violent, and you watch true crime dramas to reinforce this notion that men were invented just to wreak havoc on women. And as a self-respecting man who's literally committed no crimes, especially any against women, I find that notion to be rather insulting.
You'll never know if there is some weirdo hiding in the bushes, preying on vulnerable women. What man is thinking that they're gonna get attacked on a trail? Taking an Uber from a girl's night out. If your Uber driver is a man, you are instantly on high alert because you don't know if that man is going to later on that night come back to your house because now he knows where you live. Knows if you've had a few drinks. So in order to be safe, you are calling your friend in the Uber. You are texting someone. You are recording the Uber driver in case he tries to pull a fast one on you. Triple checking your windows and your doors when you get home to make sure it's all locked. Probably not even really sleeping that night because you're afraid. Okay. Do you think a man is ever thinking about this? No! I could go on about the things that we do as women to just stay safe on any given day. And for a woman, comment something that you do on a daily basis that you know a man does not even think about because he's like, why?
what?
You know, I really think we need to take a second to appreciate the irony of what this woman is saying. Outside of the fact that she just assumes we don't think about being attacked in today's society when it glorifies violence on men, she also says that her life is in such constant peril that she needs to convey this fear in a parked car where any psycho male can run up and use his superhuman strength to punch a hole through her windshield and do all sorts of horrific things to her, because apparently that's all men do nowadays. Now, woman, what you're saying about men not needing situational awareness is patently false. Just ask any man who feels the need to conceal carry a firearm and he'll tell you, you need to be hyper aware of your surroundings at all times. It doesn't matter what meat you're packing, the world is a dangerous place. But to assume that men just walk around in this imaginary bubble of safety is just plain absurd, especially since you record these videos in public and you are blissfully unaware of the world around you.
Checkmate.
Checkmate. Checkmate.
Dang.
So I was just flipping through TikTok and I saw this woman in mid-30s talking about how she went out to dinner with her friends and they're all mid-30s-ish and successful and entrepreneurial, and most of them have master's degrees, and they're all single. And they are single kind of because they couldn't find anybody that they wanted to date. And they were talking like, what does it mean for them? And if they don't ever meet anybody. And I went straight to the comment section because I already live this life. And so I didn't need to hear the rest of her video, but I went to the comment section because I wanted to see what ick was showing up in the comment section. And my favorite one was this guy who said, also a 34 plus year old with the requirements you're describing doesn't want you because he can have a 23 or 24-year-old and you can't compete with them physically. First of all, you could not pay me to be 23 or 24 again. I am 43 in 2 weeks. I am financially independent. I've traveled the world. I own my own home in Georgetown. I own my own business. I do what I want whenever I want, and I have to answer to nobody.
Congratulations!
Lady, the fact that you snorted before laughing at this guy's perfectly valid comment tells us everything we need to know about you. Now, for starters, the only person who cares about your accolades are you. We don't care about the money you make, or the properties that you own, or the life that you lead. None of that matters to us, especially when you use the word I at least a dozen times in every single sentence that you utter. You're self-absorbed and you think that's somehow a turn-on for men, even though men have made it perfectly clear that they don't want aged-out old broads who think the minimum monthly payment on a maxed-out credit card makes you wife material. Men have naturally been attracted to younger, more fertile women since the beginning of life itself. It's kind of in our DNA, and it means that a woman is of proper breeding age and will be more likely to create healthy offspring. They also have the added benefit of being more attractive and less likely to be disrespectful, and that's kind of important to a man. You think your money and possessions somehow give you a hall pass to talk smack about men, but it really doesn't. Say whatever the hell you want, it is your right, but don't be surprised when men talk back. Trust me. We're better at it than you.
I'm on my second book after writing a bestseller a couple years ago, and I'm the happiest I've ever been. So you couldn't pay me to go back to a time in my life where maybe I didn't have that, but I didn't have much else either. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what I wanted out of life. I didn't know what I was capable of. I hadn't found my voice yet. I was pretty smoking hot. I'll give you that. But the men that say shit like that online don't understand that they're telling on themselves. All I hear when men say things like that of I would rather have a 23 or 24-year-old because you can't compete with them physically is a man who's just looking for a shiny little object, a trophy to put on his arm to make him feel better about himself. You know who the guys are who only want the hot girls? The guys with nothing else to offer themselves, because I will tell you, once men get a woman with more going on for her, a certain kind of man can't live with that. And women my age, of my caliber, my girlfriends, we don't want that guy either.
Well, alright! Oh yeah!
I hate to break it to you, sister, but you just done the aged out broad's equivalent of the "you can't fire me because I quit" defense. But let's just be real here. The types of men that young women find attractive are exactly the men that you want. They have the qualities that younger women find desirable, and that just makes you jealous. It makes you want to lash out on TikTok as you cope with the idea that the men you want don't want you back. And you'll make pathetic attempts at flexing about how you're a high caliber woman who deserves a certain caliber of man, but if that's the case, then why aren't you with that man? You'd think if you were that important and that much of a catch, then a man would snatch that up faster than a free pizza on nickel beer night, but that's not the case here. Those men don't want an aged out, crusty old maid who thinks having money makes her better than everybody else. Now, you should take my advice, woman. Wear some clothes that fit. Find some glasses that don't make you look like a playground stalker, and stop acting smug. And maybe, just maybe, there might be a 6-month-long situationship just waiting around the corner for you. But that is only your best case scenario.
That's funny because it's so true.
One of the biggest life hacks for being single and loving it that I feel like no one talks about is having, I feel like I'm gonna get in trouble for this, is having guy friends who treat you like you're their girlfriend. Actually, this kind of sad reality, which is that a lot of my guy friends have all this love inside of them, but they get really scared in the context of romantic relationships. So they don't have a space to pour like that loving, nurturing, protector energy into. When they date women and they like women, they get scared. Like, let's be honest, that's what's happening to most of us when we enter romantic partnership. I don't think we want to admit it. We want to think that the guys are these like heartless assholes, but I actually think they're even more scared than women are. So then I have all these amazing guy friends who have all this love to give, but you know, maybe they're dating around, they don't want to settle down, all the usual stuff, but they have these like big hearts, and I'm like, great, send it over here.
Привет, мой лучший друг.
The friend zone.
So in other words, the friend zone. You're talking about the friend zone, and you're talking about the friend zone in the worst possible way. You see, you know that your guy friends are lonely. You know that they are desperate for some romantic companionship, and you know they want to get with you, but you don't find any of them attractive. Now, that is your right, but that doesn't stop you from using those men for your own emotional gratification. These are guys who will gladly take you out on dates. They will pay for your meals, help you move a couch, and do all of the things, and you'll gladly let them, but you won't provide them with any form of physical intimacy. You're pretty much using these guys as emotional punching bags as you go out on the apps to find yourself another bedroom fling. The friend zone is dehumanizing, it's humiliating, and it's emasculating, and to make it all worse, you know this, but you use it because you're single and you have no problem using the men you find undesirable if it means you get to feel better about yourself, and that's rather disgusting.
Like, I have guy friends who invite me over, they cook for me. I got my feelings hurt by a guy recently. My other guy friend was like, come over immediately, tell me everything. He like made me tea, he like put candles out and just created like such a chill environment. And
boy, there's no real easy way to say this, but look, you're a simp.
I just like cried about the situation and got the hug that I needed. My guy friends like take me out to dinner, they take me out to lunch. If it's like a sunny, beautiful Saturday and I just want to go walk around town and pop into a restaurant and window shop, I just call them up. I know I'm not saying anything radical here because basically what I'm saying is like, let's just show up to our friendships from an energy of community and love and partnership. In another sense, I feel like our society is really moving away from that. So I do kind of feel like it needs to be said. And I think a lot of people who are single are just like sitting around being like, I don't get any love. I don't get attention. I don't get affection. Like, I just became more touchy with my friends.
Man, that's just mean. That's mean, man.
Woman, I really don't like using this term unless someone has gone out of their way to earn it. And trust me, sister, you have to be all kinds of messed up to get to that point, but you are just a terrible person. You use men's emotional vulnerabilities to make yourself feel better. You manipulate perfectly good men to buy you lunches and to take you shopping, and literally cry on their shoulders as you complain about how the men you want don't want you back. You use these men as boyfriends when it suits you, but then disregard them for literally everything else. There are men who want nothing more than to be with somebody they care about, and part of you knows this. That's why you use them the way you do. They're just expendable commodities that are there for you to use and then dump when they've lost their usefulness, and that is a scumbag thing to do. When you do that to men, you're screwing with their heads and leaving them breadcrumbs that they might have a chance with you, even though there's no chance of that happening. And the worst part is that you don't think emotionally manipulating men is wrong. But it is, sweetheart, and one day, you're going to be alone with absolutely no friends, and when that day happens, you'll understand what it feels like, and you'll deserve to live with that feeling for the rest of your life.
You! I will think of you as I throw up into the toilet.
In case you forgot that men are awful, I posted a video about what the girlies are gonna do if we ever hit an apocalyptic situation and like life's never going back to normal. And there are currently almost 7,000 comments of women saying that they would themselves rather than deal with the men out in the world because they know that they would be abused, used, and discarded. Not to mention all the girlies in the comments saying that they would make sure their body was burned, disposed of, like mangled beyond recognition, because even death will not stop men from using our bodies against our will. I know this is grim, but also the girlies are hysterical. And if you would like some funny, girly, dark humor, I highly encourage you to go look at that video on my page. I am just having so much fun scrolling through the comments. Everyone is hilarious. Everyone is so funny. And I just love all the girlies once again.
Whoa.
Wow, that's a new one. So not only are men weak, useless, incel morons, they're also hyper-violent, world-controlling, and oppressive, but now we can add automatic necrophiliacs into that freaking list as well. Well, rest assured, sister, if Armageddon never happens and I somehow magically survive it, trust me, I wouldn't be going near you no matter any of the circumstances, because I still don't believe I deserve that kind of torture, even when walking through a post-apocalyptic wasteland. I'd rather be spending my time with the fine members of the bounty board over on Patreon, whose continued support allows me to get work out to you guys every single day, and I can't thank these fine folks enough for their generosity. Thank you so much, guys. All hail! And if you're interested in supporting the channel, check out the bounty board over on Patreon, where $5 a month gets you access to exclusive content you're not going to find on YouTube. I'll leave the link in the pinned comment down below for you.
Hot take, but if you're a hot girl and you date an ugly man, you're anti-woman, because what you don't realize is you are raising the stock of that man because he was with you. And inevitably you're gonna break up because men will men. Then he's gonna be on the market. He's gonna post pictures of you on his dating app so people are like, damn, that's his ex? She's so pretty. He must have really beautiful insides and be a wonderful person to get such a baddie. And you know what? It's not true, because I think we've seen all of these dudes are the same, okay?
Whoa, that is some deep dish racism, motherfucker!
These movies lied. Beauty and the Beast lied. Gaston and the Beast, both very questionable choices, okay? Hunchback of Notre Dame, I think we saw he just wanted to bang Esmeralda. So as a single girly on the market, I am begging all you hot girls, please stop dating ugly men. They do not deserve you. I have gone on friend dates with so many beautiful single girls, and I'm like, she is such a catch, and she can't get a guy because these guys have inflated egos because of all of you hotties raising their stock when they don't deserve it. Why are you investing in worthless securities? Diversify your portfolio. Get a baddie guy. Stop believing what they say, nice guys finish last. No, because they're not nice.
Emotional damage!
You know, I hate to break it to you, sister, but Hunchback of Notre Dame and Beauty and the Beast are both fictional movies, which means they are not real, and they are telling stories that aren't exactly truthful, which means that you took them as some sort of a fact, and that's your problem for not being able to distinguish reality from freaking animated movies. Now, I get it. Seriously, I really do. A guy that you desired did not find you all that great for the long term, so he dumped you. And your recourse was to not only say that he was ugly, which means that he was above average at the very, very least, but you also say that if he gets another woman in his life, it's because you had him first, and that woman just intrinsically knew that you're somehow so great and a reflection of his character. Woman, you and your gaggle of girl besties are not catches, and even if you were, you'd be thrown back into the freaking river because you're not even worth a selfie. Catching you is pretty much the same thing as catching nothing at all. And if you're resorting to petty insults and angry interpretations of Disney plot elements, then we already know that any man who leaves you has dodged a massive bullet.
Look at this discounted price. There's no meat on it. You throw it back. Stay in the water. I'm not gonna serve you to my family.
I'm seeing this narrative go around social media a lot where only 80% of women want the top 20% of men or something like that. And that's the high value men. And there's like a large pool of women who want this very small pool of high value men. What I have to say about that is you need to ask yourself, why is there so few high value men? Why is that? And would that be a better use of your time and attention to address why are there so few high value men that can't seem to keep up with how women are out earning and outpacing them in every other like facet in life? Because that's truly the issue, is that women are outperforming men when it comes to college degrees, when it comes to home ownership, when it comes to income. We're outperforming you. So how can you level that playing field instead of going on Reddit forums and complaining about how women want a quality man? Why wouldn't we want that? When you go in these red pill communities, when you go on these red pill forums, and you go in my comment section and you complain about these things, what you're admitting is that you're not a high value man. Because high value men, if they're having dates every night and they just have this like too many women to choose, that's what they're spending their time doing. They're not under my videos complaining about the modern woman or complaining about how all women want just like the small pool of high quality men.
You serious?
Oh, hey there, Matilda. You're still bitter and smooth-brained, I take it. Well, of course you are. You look awful. Now, I know you think you're a smart, but that's just not the case here. The fact that there are too few high-value men out there is basic Chadnomics. If all of the average men became the type of men that you claim to deserve, all that does is create an inflationary market of men, thus devaluing those high-value men as you try to get men who are better than the ones who still tick all of the arbitrary boxes. Now, the men who will call you out in the comments section are most certainly not complaining. Most of us are just left scratching our heads and trying to figure out what makes you think you're worthy of a long-term commitment from a guy you determine to be high value. You think that having a mortgage and being dumb enough to drop over 100 G's on a piece of paper from an indoctrination camp somehow makes you superior. But all that makes you is smug, Matilda, and even if we weren't proud members of the illustrious Bottom 95% Club, we still wouldn't take you seriously because that would be impossible.
So by being in my comment section and complaining about these things, you are admitting that you are a low quality man. You are not in this pool. You're not in the small percentage of high value men. So I think what a better use of your time would be then is to figure out how to become a high quality man. Wouldn't that be a better use of your time instead of arguing with these crazy feminists online? Wouldn't it? Wouldn't that be more productive? You're telling on yourself, and the problem is you. You're the problem. Life isn't fair. I don't know how many times men have told that to women. Life isn't fair, snowflake. Go work on yourself and stop telling on yourself in my comment section. And the reason why is because traditionally you guys did not secure power and resources through merit. You secured power and resources through intimidation and violence. So you are going back to those same tools, those same mechanisms of control and violence to try to level the playing fields now. You're trying to get on women's comment sections and intimidate them and insult them to try to get them to lower their standards. When this whole time you could be operating in a meritocracy, which is what you guys always preach, and working on your own merit and working on your own qualifications and becoming the high value man that you guys fucking drone on and on about, right? So that's what you need to do.
Wrong! You know what, Matilda? I find it fascinating how every time you make a video, you somehow figure out a way to make yourself even more dumb. You're talking smack about the men that you deem to be low value. You're making fun of them and you're taunting them. You're turning around and accusing them of being violent psychopaths, and I'm no expert in psychology, but I don't think it's a smart idea to be provoking the very same people that you deem to be dangerous. But in your eyes, leaving a 5-word comment is just the same thing as what Genghis Khan did to the entire human gene pool. And that's just because you were college educated, which means that you're clearly one of the dumbest people in your county. Now, we couldn't care less if you determine us to be low value. You don't get to make that determination just as much as you're not able to determine your own value. You think it's the opposite because you have standards, but you're forgetting one thing, Matilda, and that's the men get to set standards for themselves as well. And I hate to break it to you, sister, but you don't even meet the bare minimum of our standards. You're about as average as you can get in the looks department. You're historically ignorant. On a personal note, you're also profoundly boring. And when the majority of men find you undesirable, that means you're not only a low-value woman, it means that your value is about 5 miles beneath rock bottom. And that is going to do it for today's video, gentlemen and gents. And as always, if you find that my particular brand of comedy is bringing you to the brink of laughter, then why don't you scroll on down and click that like and subscribe button. Ring the notification bell, leave a couple of comments, and be sure to share this video so we can give the good old-fashioned middle finger to the YouTube algorithm. Thank you once again for checking out the new video, gentlemen and gents, and until next time, peace out, homies.